Welcome to the D-Shift podcast, where we provide inspiration, motivation, and education to help you transition from the challenges of divorce to discover the freedom and ability to live life on your own terms. Are you ready? Let's get this shift started. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the D-Shift. And I am so excited to have a fellow Canadian. So yay, Canada. We always have to do that at the beginning. I have a fellow Canadian and a lady who I met recently who just has a phenomenal message that I think is really important for us all to hear. So I want to introduce you to Nisha Goyal. She is a self-love expert and a certified life coach with over 25 years experience in the art of self-devotion. And now she passes that on to high achieving women to help them get through challenges in life and to really learn how to be in love with themselves so that they can then be in a really good space to bring in that next person or make the decision to stay, as I always say, spectacularly single. So Nisha, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mardi. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you because when we first talked, gosh, it's been almost six or some months ago. When I first heard your message, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for the podcast. So tell me, how did you get into this area? Because I know probably, as with most people, life experiences are the best teachers, right?
Yeah, I mean, how I got into this is this. Somebody asked me at some point in my journey, Nisha, what's the biggest lesson that you've had to learn in this lifetime? And I was under hypnosis. And my first response to her was that I'm good enough. And how many of you have ever felt like you're not good enough? And so I burnt out for 10 years. I did all the right things, got the degrees, worked the corporate job, did all the things. I was the nice girl, the people pleaser, never said no, didn't know how to get angry, all the things. And I was kind of asleep, and going through the motions and just giving and giving till I burnt out. And I hit a point where I realized that I wasn't valuing myself the way I should, because if I was, then I wouldn't have burnt out. And I wouldn't have been doing things and saying yes to things when my insides were saying, no, that's not right. And that's where the self-love comes in, right? And that's where the validation comes in. And I learned early on that if I just did the right things, I got the praise and I got the love and I got the attention. And we all want nice things, but I realized as I started to heal from my burnout, I started healing a decade ago and doing that inner work and really peeling off the layer of the onion, because our soul is like this onion with all these different layers. And I just kept coming back to that one thing, like I don't feel good enough. Like, why does she have it and I don't have it? I'm not good enough. And I would look at a woman that had things that I didn't have, or somebody that had things that I didn't have, a relationship, kids, whatever it was, and would automatically put her as exceptional and put myself as less than. And I've also spent a lot of time on my own just because that was what my soul needed. My soul needed to honestly love myself and know myself and understand myself before I was really able to give that love to another person.
Right.
That's what my soul needed, and it's a different journey. And so that's why I have all this experience in the art of self-devotion, because I've literally spent most of my adult life with myself, reflecting, learning, going through experiences, and now in a place where I want to take my experience and help to uplift and inspire other women so they know that they're good enough and they're worthy and they don't go through some of the things that I did.
Yes. And so it's really interesting when you said that I'm not good enough. There's kind of those four core beliefs that we all have that are terrible for us, that I'm powerless, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, and I don't have control over my life. And those are the kind of things that, like, oh my gosh, when I hear people say that, I think, Holy, well, like, what if we could just shift that? What if we could stop people from believing that? And I see it a lot with women, but I also know that men have those same kind of four core things. So why do you think, Nisha, I'm going to put you on the spot right out of the gate here. Why do you think women are so conditioned, and I'm going to use that word not lightly, but conditioned to be people pleasers? And why, if you are a woman that speaks out, are you a terrible person if you are a woman that speaks out and speaks your mind?
No, and that's a great question, and I'll give you the answer to that. And before I do that, I also want to add, I'm not lovable.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
But because that was a big one for me. So I think we're conditioned as women because we're taught from the moment we come out of the womb. We're taught that we have certain roles to play. Yeah, we get careers and we know how to be professional women, and that's all great. But even that professional woman, we don't look at her as a success because she's a professional woman. We look at her because she's a mom and she's a wife. And we're taught to play these roles. And they're wonderful roles. Like, I'm not saying that's not great, but we are conditioned to be wives and mothers and nurturing and the givers of life. And, that whole like give and give and give till you're dry, but as long as your kids are happy, you're the best mom ever. We're taught that and we're conditioned that, right? And we're taught to not speak up because if you speak up, you're, you know, a something like what we call a witch, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to swear on this podcast, but we're considered, oh, she's too much. If you're
Yeah.
too loud, she's too much, right? But then if you're too quiet, oh, she's too meek. And we live in a world that tells us from the moment that we're born that we're not good enough because we need makeup to put on our face. And oh, your hair needs to be nice. And oh, you need to lose weight, but oh, don't lose too much weight because then you look too scrawny. But then if you got too many curves, oh, you're too curvy, right? So there's every part of ourselves is criticized.
Right.
And we're taught that our value lies in what we do for other people. And that if we speak up, oh, she's a this and she's a that, you know what word I'm thinking about.
Right.
So I think we're conditioned, and I think what happens is, especially with high achieving women, and this happened to me, is you don't know any better, so you just do it, and you carry this armor, and you're like, no, I can do it all, given the relationship, given the career, give to the kids, whatever it is. And then at some point, especially as we get older, the armor starts to break.
Right.
And it's like somebody puts this big piece of armor on you and you're walking around with it. And that's what happened to me is it just started to chip at me.
Yeah.
And I kept my mouth shut because I didn't know how to rock the boat. Nice Indian girls we don't do that, right? And I exploded at people in my personal relationships. I literally exploded because I just kept it in and I just got so tired of it. And so I think we're conditioned. And if you're listening to this and you're tired or in any way feeling any of what I just described, congratulations. Because that means that you're ready for change and you're ready for something different. Because
Yeah.
life is not supposed to be like this. Like, that's not self-love.
Yeah. And I was going to add to this, since we are talking about divorce specifically, or not specifically, but I think this is relevant. A lot of times when I'm working with women who are high achieving women without children who are going through a divorce, the consensus seems to be, well, you don't have kids, the divorce isn't going to be a problem for you because you don't have kids. So what difference does it make? Well, I'm going to tell you, it is just as difficult emotionally going through the divorce without children as it is with kids. Now, with kids, you have the extra worry about how are my kids going to do during this divorce. But
Right.
it's from the individual going through divorce, it's the same. And we have to be really careful that we don't make assumptions that, oh, because children aren't involved in a divorce or a breakup, even if you've never been married, maybe you've just been longtime partners out
Yeah.
and not even actually had a legal marriage. It doesn't matter. It's the same stress that can just add to that sense of burnout and that
Yeah.
sense of, I don't want to be this way anymore.
Yeah, and I think the other angle to that is, I've intimately witnessed divorce in my life, and obviously there is less it's less complicated when you don't have children and you're not worrying about their well-being and
Right.
coping. But if you're a woman that is child-free and going through a divorce, a lot of women that are child-free, maybe you have angst around that. There's issues around that. There's, you know, feelings of like, oh my God, I'm not good enough because I don't have kids. And now I don't have this too. Like I failed at not having kids because that's what I'm supposed to do. And now now my marriage is breaking up and I'm a failure at that too. So I don't know. Do you find I would feel like maybe that could be amplified.
Yeah.
It just amplifies the gap because now you don't have the kids and you don't have the partner or the husband and you're going through this and then you're like, "Oh my God, I don't have anybody."
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And as we get older, like you're dealing with this gap in space and this, I don't want to use the word void, but when a lot of people that have children, they have grandkids or they're sending their kids off to school or they've got, the stimulation of those added people in their life, and you don't have that. And then you're dealing with failure of a marriage. That can wear on you, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, I haven't done the things society tells us as women that we're successful. The Hallmark cards
Right. Right.
celebrate us if we do two things, right? Outside of our birthday, there's no card. I've said this many times as a currently single, child-free woman in her 50s, there's no card to celebrate the life that I've lived.
Right.
There's no Hallmark card that says, way to go, you survive, you bought a house by yourself, or you survived moving to a new city by yourself, or you survived burnout. You pulled yourself out of a decade of burnout. There's no card for that. But if you get married and you have a child,
Yeah.
people throw you parties, right? And that's great. I'm not saying that's not great, but
Right.
just I think there can also be like this huge sense of overwhelming failure that and that's where the self-love piece comes in, where we need to be kind to ourselves and we really need to be compassionate.
Yeah. And I want to pick your brains on that right now. And that's you did a perfect segue for me. We did not rehearse this, but it just worked out perfectly. Let's talk about this idea of self-love, because I think we hear the word self-care a lot. And I think the idea of self-care is a day at the spa or a nice bubble bath or nice bottle of wine, whatever it is, it's your self-care thing. And that's not really what you're talking about, Nisha, is it?
I mean, self-care is great, but self-love is, how do I treat myself? And I'm going to throw in another self word. Self-worth is, what do I believe about myself? And so those are linked, right? Because what we believe about ourselves impacts how we treat ourselves. And self-care is a part of that, right? If I just went on a cruise and I had by myself and I had them deliver roses, non-alcoholic champagne, and chocolate to my cabin because I love myself and I did that. That was self-care for me. Self-love is, how do I treat myself? And it's really what you give. What did you give to your husband? When you make a commitment to love, honor, and cherish another, it's the exact same thing, but for yourself. And what I always reiterate is the intentionality that we put into the dating process with other people. How long do you spend dating someone to get to know them before you decide to marry them? A year? 2 years? If you think about the amount of time and intention, Marty, that goes into that process, we go on dates, we plan things, we have every date as a conversation, we make a decision. Do I want to go on another date with this person? I like this about them. I don't like this about them. We make consent,
Right.
we collaborate. And so it's the exact same thing. And we wouldn't hopefully we wouldn't tell our husband, you suck, you're terrible, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, I could never love you. I mean, maybe when the divorce goes bad, right? But we wouldn't tell that to someone we love. And so self-love is giving that love to yourself. It's how do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself when you're going through a divorce? There's feelings of failure that crop up. There's probably forgiveness. Do you practice self-forgiveness? Are you forgiving yourself daily? Are you being compassionate to yourself? What
Right.
about self-judgment? Are you judging yourself? So what I talk about is it's really that voice inside your head, especially when you're going through a divorce and you've gone through a divorce that's telling you, I'm a failure, I didn't do it right, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, I can't do anything right, no one's going to love me, whatever the thoughts are. Self-love is flipping those. It's acknowledging them. It's saying, I forgive myself, giving yourself compassion. And then it's starting to flip those thoughts into ones that are more empowering. So instead of saying, I'm a failure, well, maybe it's, this wasn't the right thing for me. And now I know better for next time. I've
Yes.
learned next time.
Yep.
Or instead of if you're like feeling depressed and you don't want to get out of bed, instead of saying, oh my God, I'm so lazy, Marty, maybe you could say, I'm resting today. That's way more empowering than I'm lazy and I'm a failure. But the thoughts in our head,
Yeah.
and they're just because we think them doesn't mean they're true. And self-love, what I teach my clients is this is a process of witnessing yourself on a daily basis. It's a practice
Right.
because you've been telling yourself over and over and over again that you're ugly and that you suck and that you're not good enough. And whatever your thoughts are, you're not going to change that record player by just replaying it one time,
Yeah.
right? And so it's really about saying, I'm deserving of my own presence, I'm deserving of my own attention, and I'm worthy of it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that my marriage failed, I don't want to use the word failed, that marriage didn't work out or whatever happened. That's what self-love is it's being compassionate, it's forgiving yourself, and it's treating yourself with kindness and taking care of your own well-being
Yeah.
and
I love
understanding
that.
all of that, like the actions, people, actions, and things that are harming you, and acknowledging that and saying, this isn't good for me. I'm going to choose different.
Right. And I think, you said that so beautifully, Nisha. One of the things I get my clients to do is when they have that voice going around in their head, you're not this or you're that, and it's a negative thing. I always say, just ask yourself really fast, whose voice is this? And you will know. Your unconscious mind will tell you exactly who that is. And it's
Yeah,
probably a parent or an
yeah,
authority figure from very, 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 when you're very young, probably before the age of 7. And then
yeah.
every experience that you've had, you've used that confirmational bias to just take that message and just keep reinforcing it all the way down the line.
It's true. And I say this, I tell my clients the same thing, like whose belief, what's the belief?
Right.
Because the belief is the thought that you just keep repeating, right? That you've ingrained. And then whose is it? And then what's the evidence?
Right.
If you're a failure, if that's what you're telling yourself, okay, what's the evidence that you're a failure?
Right.
And look at the evidence that says I'm not a failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where you start to rewrite it. But when you're under a cloud, right? Everything's gray when you're going through divorce and you're in that space, you're automatically looking at everything that didn't work and all the ways you
Yeah.
didn't function as a wife and all of those things. And there were a lot of amazing things that happened and that you did, but obviously in a time like divorce, it's difficult.
Yeah.
But that's where it's so important to really, really focus on that voice. And then sometimes I just tell my clients, you know what? If you can't even muster up a reframe, then just say to yourself, I forgive myself today.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm doing the best I can. I'm an innocent child of love and I'm doing the best I can. I forgive myself.
Yeah.
And like sometimes just that, if that's all you can do, that's self-compassion and that's self-love.
I love,
Because
that is so positive because you're right. If you're 40 or 50 or 60 years old and you've listened to that voice for 60 years, it's not just one affirmation a day is going to like magically lift all the problems out of your life, but working with somebody who is going to help you stay focused, who's going to give you the tools and the strategies to be able to do that. That is so powerful because I know when I have to be accountable to a coach, and I have coaches, when I have to be accountable to a coach, I do the work. If I just
you have
if I
to,
just sit around on my own, I'll be like, oh yeah, it's like meditating. Okay, I love meditating and I try to do it every day. And I just found that it became something that I would just put off. And that's a kind of self-love, right? Or self-care.
it
And
is, it's a part of it. It's a part
yeah.
of it.
And so I just prioritize it now. I get up in the morning, I do a journaling exercise in the morning, and I meditate for 5 minutes. And that's it.
And that's great. And
Yeah.
that's what I teach my clients to do is to build a practice like that. And not every day is going to be the same. And maybe
Right.
you miss a day, that's okay, but it's a practice.
Yeah.
And you will never regret taking 5 minutes for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
After the 5 minutes, you're never going to go, oh, I'm so like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You're always going to feel better. And so it's really about prioritizing self
Yeah.
and dating yourself. Like I've said this many times, your relationship with yourself is a lifelong courtship with no option for divorce, right? You can't get rid of yourself.
Right.
Whenever you look in the mirror. And so I want every woman listening to look at the relationship with herself like it is a courtship and that is the marriage that you need to work on every day, especially when you're coming out of a divorce.
Yes.
That's the marriage,
Yeah.
right? That's the marriage because when you work on that relationship and you start to heal that voice inside of you that maybe your parent said something to you when you were 5 and you start doing that work over time, you will develop so much inner worth and a sense of self-trust and confidence within yourself that you're going to become unshakable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And that when you heal inside, what you radiate to the outside world is so beautiful and so great. And then law of attraction, right? It just comes back to you. But when you're in that space and when you're going through a divorce, it's normal to go through the stuff.
Yes.
Feel the feelings. We never ignore the feelings. This is not about toxic positivity. Be angry, be sad, be depressed, acknowledge those feelings. But then at some point, you have to start flipping the script on them, right?
Right.
Because we can only ruminate for so long. And I'm sure that you've experienced that.
Right, right. And they talk a lot about the stories we tell ourselves. If we keep telling ourselves the bad story, we just keep deepening those neural pathways, and then it gets harder and harder to see the good. The opposite side. And there is an opposite side. There's an opposite side to everything. Yeah. And we create, I love this whole idea. We create our experience every single day. No day is good. No day is bad. It's just a day. It's how we view it, how we perceive it, and what we choose to do with it that makes a difference. And yes, bad things do happen, like you said.
Yeah.
And what can we learn from that?
Absolutely. And I think it's also when you mention the word identity, what I think is really important with that is, I talk about self-love, it's self. And it's carving out your own identity. I'm a big believer that even when you're in a relationship, right? Even as a mother, whatever your situation is, your own identity should be solid. Focus on that relationship with yourself first, your wants, your needs, your desires, and have your own identity. And the more that you know yourself, and that part of self-love is witnessing yourself, right? It's witnessing that daily conversation through journaling or, that self-talk. That's so important because when you have such a strong sense of self, because that's what you build, then as you move along in your life and maybe you're in a new relationship or whatever it is, you're so much stronger because your identity is solid.
Yes.
But a
Yes.
lot of women go into relationships where they lose themselves, right? They lose their identity, they lose especially if they're moms, right? Because you're totally wrapped up in giving to, your children and your partner, that
Right.
they lose themselves. And I'm saying even take 5 to 10 minutes a day, right? You have to cultivate a strong relationship and love and compassion for yourself and take care of your well-being first. Because when you do that, you operate from expansion and overflow, and then you're giving from that place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Burnout happens, and I've seen this in myself and so many other high achieving women, is when you're giving and giving, at some point you hit a deficit and you keep giving and you're giving from a deficit and from exhaustion.
Yeah.
And that's where the burnout happens, and that's where all the negative stuff happens and the relationship breakdown happens. But when you start to nourish yourself first, your mindset, you fill your cup in such a big way. And that's what I want women to do, is we operate from here, from a full cup.
Right.
We don't operate from down here. So your first priority every day when you wake up is to fill your own cup.
Yeah. Yeah. Nisha, I can't believe how fast the time goes. I think we could probably talk for a couple of hours. What do you like? You have shared so many really important messages here, but if there was one kind of summary takeaway, what do you want women listening to this podcast to remember when they go on about their busy day?
I want them to remember that the most important relationship that they have is the one they have with themselves. And that's the biggest love story of your life, not the one with someone else. And the first thing that you need to do in your day, at some point in your day, is to nourish that relationship, however you want to do it, because you cannot divorce yourself. And we don't look at the relationship with ourselves like a marriage, but it is. It's
Great.
a courtship.
Yeah, great message. Nisha, I know there's going to be people that want to follow up, find out more about you, or even work with you. And what is the best way to do that?
Amazing. They can go to my website, nishagoyal.ca, and get in touch with me there. You can also find me on Instagram. I post daily content and tips for everybody that wants to look and take a follow. So you can connect with me there, and I would love to hear from you.
And Nisha, I forgot to mention, you have generously provided a gift for the listeners, the post-divorce self-love reset kit. Just give us a quick sneak peek of what we can expect in that.
I mean, it's some specific curated, I think it's about 5 practices that you can do, print out the PDF and just sit with it. And it's a way for you to practice self-forgiveness and compassion, and really giving yourself grace, especially given divorce and sort of the negative feelings that can conjure up. So take a look at it. I hope you find it helpful. And if you have, you want to get in touch with me, even just say hi, I would love to hear from you.
Thank you. And I had a sneak peek at it and it looks fantastic. So definitely grab that, download it. And, and if you have a friend that's going through a divorce, send her over to listen to the podcast and then grab Nisha's gift as well for that. Nisha, thank you so much for your time. This has been a really uplifting conversation, and I so love the message that you were sharing with everybody.
Thank you so much. It was so great to be here.
And I'd like to thank everybody for listening in to this episode of The D Shift, and don't forget to tune in to the next one. Thanks for listening and supporting the D Shift podcast. If you would like to attend live trainings by our amazing guests and have a chance to ask questions and get answers from our experts, join the D Shift crew. For more details and to sign up, head on over to www.divorcecoachforwomen and click on the podcast page.